Welcome to the Moms of Tweens and Teens podcast. If some days you doubt yourself and you don't know what you're doing, if you've ugly cried alone in your bedroom because you felt like you're failing, well, I just want you to know you're not alone and you have come to the right place. Raising tweens and teens in today's world is not easy. And I'm on a mission to equip you to love well and to raise emotionally healthy, happy tweens and teens that thrive. I believe that moms are heroes and we have the power to transform our family and to impact future generations. If you are looking for answers, encouragement, and to become more of the mom and the woman that you want to be, welcome. I'm Cheryl Gould, and I am so glad that you're here. Hi, friend. Welcome to the show today, and I am so glad that you are here. And in today's episode, we're going to talk all about summer, and it's just going to be me and you. And I wanted to dedicate this time to you and to how do we create a happy summer, a meaningful summer where we're making memories, where we're having fun, where we are navigating those screens that can drive us crazy, when our kids are sleeping until 1 p.m. in the afternoon, or there's messes everywhere, or you're worried about their safety and what are they doing, where are they going. All of these things can crop up for us as moms in the summer. And we can have lots of mixed emotions. I mean, you might be in that place of, I am so happy that my kids don't have homework because I was getting so sick of nagging and reminding them. You may be right now going through driver's ed with your kid and driving in the car with them and be feeling like a nervous wreck. You may be enjoying summer and just so excited that it is here. You may also be driven crazy by the messes and your kids being on their screens and asking the question like, how much is too much? Or how long should I let them sleep in? Or how much should I expect them to help out around the house? Those are all really good questions. And I just led a workshop in my membership group where we all met in person on Zoom. And I took them through a list of reflection questions. And I just want to share them with you because the moms enjoyed it so much. And they said, this has been so good for me just to create some space to really think through what I want to do this summer. And then at the end of that time, they shared what some of their challenges were around summer and some of those things that they wanted to do that really stood out to them. And how do we be intentional to make it happen? Because if you're like me, if I don't plan, summer comes and goes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wanted to go to that outdoor festival that's a couple towns away and just get general admission tickets. And they have bands that come and play. And I didn't do it. And what happened? And that's usually because I don't plan ahead. Or gosh, I wanted to do this with my kids and it didn't happen. And so being able to create some space to really reflect on these things can be so, just so valuable. And I look back on some of those things that I've written down, most of the things actually that I've written down, and I'm always amazed at how often I have accomplished it. And I've made it happen just by writing it down. I also want to tell you that there are a lot of articles on the momsoftweensandteens.com website, and I have things that you can print out. So I just want you to know about that. I have a summer bucket list for your tweens and teens, and there are binge-worthy shows that you can watch with your kids. There are boredom busters that are great ideas to get them off of the electronics and to have fun with them. There's also an article, Summer Screen Time, 6 Rules Your Family Needs to Set Now. So there's a lot of really good stuff. There's even a self-care list of things that you can do to take care of yourself in the summer. So I'm going to put some of those links in the show notes. And what I want to encourage you to do is talk to your kids and ask them what would they like to do. And you expect sometimes getting a little pushback or resistance. I certainly have had a lot of that with my own kids. They're older now, but I would say, let's go bowling or let's go do this or that. And they would be like, oh, they would moan. I don't want to go. Maybe they're on their screens and they don't want to leave, or they're gaming or whatever. And a little bit of a push, a gentle nudge. Come on, I really want you to be there. That can be really helpful to just encourage them. But here's the most powerful thing you can do. It's to ask them what would be fun for them. Hey, I would love to do one thing this summer that you would really love to do as a family. What would that be? Is there something that you have wanted to do? And hear what they say. Do you want to go putt-putt golfing? Do you want to go to Great America? Whatever you have by you. Do you want to go to the zoo? But let them come up with their own ideas. Because here's the thing, when we include our kids and we just ask those questions, when they're tweens and teens especially, it's amazing how then they want to be a part of it. Why? Because at this age, they are pulling away. They want to have freedom and choice. And when we give them an option to express what it is they think would be fun, what they want to do, and it's their idea, they're going to want to do it. And I know sometimes it's not always easy, but ask them, hey, I would love to do something with you this summer as a family and create some family fun. I would love to hear what your ideas are. And then go to our website and look up summer, like just in the search bar. And we have lots of fun family ideas that you could even print out, that you could look over to offer some ideas to your kids. So those are a few of my recommendations, and I would love for you to check it out. So here are some of my questions, okay? And I just want, maybe you can sit down and think about it, or maybe you're out walking, or you're folding laundry, or you're in your car. But here's the thing, I am going to put these questions in the show notes so that if you want to, you can actually print them out and you can go through them, and you can even ask your kids. These are some good questions to ask them. Okay, so are you ready? And this again was what I used, these list of questions, in the workshop that I led with my membership group last Friday. So here we go. All right, what are your favorite summer activities to do with your kids? And I put share as many as you can. So what are some of those favorite summer activities? And you can write them down. And let me just say, it doesn't necessarily have to be with your kids. It can be just, what do you love to do? Okay, you ready for number 2? So number 1 was, what are your favorite summer activities? Question mark. We won't even make it with your kids, because some of this they might not want to do. Like one of mine, I'm actually going to do it with my daughter and her husband when they come in over 4th of July. I've always wanted, I'm on Lake Michigan, I'm north of Chicago. I've always wanted to go kayaking. And I've kayaked, but never on Lake Michigan. And so we are going to kayak. We can rent kayaks, and that is something I've written down, and that's something that I am going to make happen. And even if they decide they don't want to do it, then I am going to go do it. So that is one thing that was on my bucket list for this summer. And I'll tell you how it goes. Okay, so number 2. What rules or expectations do you want to put in place with your kids for the summer months? So what rules or expectations do you want to put in place? Sometimes we don't have any, and that's where there is chaos. So I want you to think, and maybe you're like, I don't know, Cheryl. I'm not quite sure if this is a good expectation or rule or not. We'll talk about that a little bit towards the end. Where do you tend to get hijacked by your kids or the demands of having them home over the summer? Where do you tend to get hijacked? We all have areas. Now, mine is often the messes. If there's messes everywhere, I get so discouraged. I can't think straight. It's like chaos in my brain. Maybe that's not a big deal for you. Maybe you don't really mind those messes. Maybe it's how much screen time how much time they're spending on their phones or their tablets or gaming. Maybe that hijacks you. And then what tends to drain your energy the most during the summer? We all have energy drains, and I think it's good for us to pay attention. And I've been practicing this, probably really intentionally the last couple of years, where I'm noticing when I'm just kind of my mood goes south. And one of the things that I have really connected with the mood of my day not starting well is when I wake up and I'm on my phone immediately. I will think about, I get up and then I'm like, why am I a little off? And I have seen a direct correlation to my mood and if I'm on my phone right when I wake up in the morning, before my feet hit the floor. I also think about, okay, what are those things that are depleting my energy? And then this is the next question. What activities or practices fill you up and help you recharge? And I wrote a blog post a long time ago that referred to those things that we do that deplete our energy as like gas guzzlers and fuel fillers and dashboard lights that we have, like these things that are blinking, so to speak, where they are signs that we are starting to run on empty. And I know for me, impatience is a big one, and I'm sure it probably is for you. When I'm starting to get depleted, I start overeating, I want to drink a little bit more, and I'm really not a very big drinker, but I notice like I just want to have that beer. And I know I've started drinking beer. That's like my thing now. But anyway, I just notice that when I'm depleted, there's just certain things like I want to stay up too late and binge watch Netflix. And I'm like, I am burned out. I don't want to work. I don't want to go anywhere where I'm going to see anyone and I'm going to have to talk to anybody. Then I know I need to recharge my batteries. So what are those things that deplete you, and what are those things that fill you up? And exercise is one for me. Getting together with friends for a cup of coffee. One friend, usually it's friends, but a lot of times it's just even one-on-one with someone. Going and watching the sunset. I love to do that. Spending some time with family. Going to the beach or the pool. So what helps you recharge? Next question, and we just have a few more. What are some specific activities that you would like to do this summer that bring you joy and relaxation? So it's a little bit like the first question. I want you to think about your bucket list, but I also want you to think about what relaxes you. And one thing I've noticed for me is it's getting up. I have some quiet time in the morning. It's going for a walk. And just sitting outside and journaling, those things really start my day off on the right foot. I just notice when I don't do that, I'm usually in not a great mood. So thinking about what brings you joy and relaxation. It might be a manicure or a pedicure. It might be going to get a massage, or it might be simply just allowing yourself to relax and do nothing, or reading a good book. Next question. Is there something new you would like to learn or try this summer? Alone or with your kids? So thinking about that as well. And then I want you to think about your limits and your boundaries. Where do you struggle to set limits and boundaries with your kids? And what expectations, and this is like the second question, do you want to set for the summer? What expectations? And I want to talk about this a little bit. Sometimes we don't even think about what our expectations are. Think about how much screen time do you want to allow your kids to have this summer? And I just want to say a couple of things. We are all different. And I think we get into trouble when we are comparing ourselves to other parents and we're looking at what they're doing and how many hours they are allowing their kid to be on screens. And it was pretty funny. One of the moms on Friday was saying, I don't really care how long my kids are spending on their screens. And I feel kind of guilty because I feel like I should, because everybody is so worried about it. And then I start doubting myself and wondering if I should actually be concerned about it. And then I ask her a couple of questions, and it turns out that her kids are involved in activities and they're doing things and they're getting out of the house and they're out and about. They're with friends. They're doing things. There's balance there. And so then they come home and they spend a couple hours on their screens, and then they go on and they do other things. And I was like, that's great, because they're getting out. They're involved in other activities. And I don't know about you, but I remember having days in the summer where all I did was lay in the air conditioning. We had a window unit and the TV was in that room. It was my parents' room. And I would just watch all day long. Creature Feature. Please email me if anybody watched Godzilla and Frankenstein and Creature Feature, and I'm probably really dating myself here. But I would just lay there all day long and watch Channel 32 one after the other. And my mom just let me. And our kids need days like that. When we want to make sure that we're setting some limits is if that is all that they're doing. And this is also how they're connecting with their friends over the summer. So we have to be realistic and a little bit flexible. That's how they're talking to their friends or communicating with them on their phones. Rather than watching TV, they're usually watching YouTube, or they're on Instagram, or they're doing something else. But I always recommend that we talk to our kids about these things, that we include them in the process, that we say, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about screens this summer. I know I can get where I'm nagging and I'm saying, get off your screens. But how much time do you think you should be allowed to be on your screens this summer? What do you think about that? Powerful when we can have a discussion versus trying to lay down the law. And think about, before you go into that conversation, what are your expectations around screen time? How long do you want them to be on their screens? And it might be, I don't want them on their screens at all. And then we have to think about what's reasonable. I get it. I mean, it's hard parenting kids these days with the screens, because it doesn't seem like they have very much down time. But we can talk to them about it and say, hey, listen, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking, a couple of hours. What are your thoughts about this? And get their buy-in. Something else that can be really helpful is the formula, when you, then you. When you get your room cleaned up, then you can have screen time. When you get outside for a little bit, then you can get on your screens. And that will motivate them oftentimes to get off their screens and to get whatever it is that they need to get done. And then they can have that time. It can also be used around chores, helping out. When you get XYZ done, then I'll take you over to your friend Sally's house or Bob's house. When you. Now I know as they get a little older, it can get a little trickier. So we want to be flexible. We want to be having these conversations with them. We want to say, here's what I was thinking, but I really want to hear from you and what you're thinking, and then listen. Listening to them is so important, to hear what their thoughts are and their perspective, and then being able to say to them, thank you for sharing that with me, and I'm going to give that some thought. We will get less resistance when they can talk about what they think, and that does not mean that we have to give in, that we can't have limits or boundaries, because I know they often don't want them. But here is the thing. Studies show that tweens and teens want screen time limits. They won't tell you, but they want them. Also, what strategies can you implement to manage and balance screen time effectively? So I'm giving you some strategies and ideas. I would love to hear if you have your own strategies that have worked for you. So I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear, what are you going to do this summer? What are you going to do to have fun? How are you going to take care of yourself? What are those things that deplete your energy and suck your joy? And what are some of those things that you are going to do to fill your bucket this summer and to have fun? And a couple final little tips. We often get hooked by our tweens and teens and other people when we feel like we have to make them happy. And we can't make, first of all, we can't make anybody happy. That's their job. And also, I was just talking to a mom and I was telling her we have to allow other people, especially our kids, to have their own feelings. And if you have listened to me in the past, you know I talk about boundaries and limits like a hula hoop. And we have to think about what belongs in our hula hoop and what belongs in our tween or teen's hula hoop or other people's hula hoop. And what belongs in each one of our hula hoops is our feelings. And it's hard when somebody is upset with us, when our kids don't like our no, or we're not doing what they want us to do, or we're irritating them. And it's easy to take it personally. But here's what we often do. We often try to convince them to see things our way. And when you're in that space where you're disagreeing and you're arguing and it's not going well, we're not going to get anywhere. And they're not going to say, oh yeah, Mom, you're so right. Usually they're not going to say that. So I always say, don't take the bait. Allow them to feel what they're feeling. It's okay. I'm always reminding myself, because I hate conflict, and I think most of us do. If somebody's upset with me, one of my kids, my husband is upset, I have to remember to allow him to have his feelings. Now, sometimes he's having those feelings, or my kids are having those feelings, because I made a choice to react in a certain way that was hurtful. Or I, especially like with my husband, maybe I said I was going to do something and I didn't do it. And then I can apologize and say, you know what? I'm sorry. You're right. I did this. I get why you're angry. And then I can allow him to have his feelings around it. We can have redos, we can ask for forgiveness, but I want you to experience more freedom from feeling like you have to manage your kids' emotions. Allow them to have their feelings. They're just feelings, and allow them to work through them. And remember, if your kid's going through a really painful time right now and they're sharing with you, remember to thank them. Thank them for talking to you. Just them telling you something or talking to you about something. I talk to moms all the time that I work with one-on-one and that are in the membership group. And it's so upsetting when our kids tell us something hard. And I always say, I'm just so glad they felt safe enough to tell you. And it doesn't make the pain any less. But just know that you are creating a safe place for your kids. And then for us to be able to listen and not feel like we have to fix it, because 9.9 times out of 10, we can't. But knowing that when we sit with them in their pain, sit with someone in their pain, that's the most powerful thing that we can do. So just a few little tips there, and go for your own satisfaction this summer. If one of your kids is really not wanting to go and it's going to bring the whole thing down, maybe you just say, okay, this time I'm going to go myself, or we're going to go as a family. You don't have to go, and just go and have fun and let them feel and experience what that felt like. What I learned with my kids, what I've learned the majority of time when you say, okay, we're going to just leave you home and go without you, and you don't say it punishing, but you know what? If you're going to go and you're not going to be happy the whole time, then I would prefer that you don't go. Now, if it's a family event, that's different. They're going to see their grandparents. You might want to process that with them, what it is that's making them not want to go, so they can talk about it before they go. But I just want you to know, sometimes we bring our kids and they're miserable, and then everybody's miserable. So use discernment. Would it be better to just let them stay home? If they're going to be miserable, is that going to impact me? We have to use our discernment. And again, we do not have to do it perfectly. Sometimes we'll do something and then we're like, oh, I should have left them home. Or, oh, I didn't take them and I wish that I would have. But I just want to help you to lighten your load and to share some of those things that I have learned over the years that has helped me immensely, to have fun, to create satisfaction, to not take on my kids' feelings, to have limits and boundaries. And so my hope for you is that you'll go take the time, go through some of these questions, look in the show notes, and print them out and answer them. Have your kids look at them if they're open to that, and have that conversation. Hey guys, what can we do this summer to make it a great summer? What would you love to do? And then to be able to say to them, and here's what I'm thinking about these things like the messes or whatever. This is what I would like. The screen time, this is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? And include them in the process. So I'm just so grateful that you're here, and make sure that you check out momsoftweensandteens.com. Go to resources, workshops. We have all kinds of free resources on there. We're adding them on a weekly basis. We just have a new platform we're using, so we're always adding. And I hope that you will have a wonderful summer, and I would love to hear from you. So you can reach out to me at Cheryl with an S at momsoftweensandteens.com and let me know if anything spoke to you. Oh, and one final word. I just added a little button on the podcast. It's so, you have trouble saying it, but it's donate to the show. And I would so appreciate if you like the show, and thank you I read all of your reviews. It means the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't tell you how happy it makes me. I took a bunch of screenshots the other day. But I would also love if you would donate to the show. We are trying to do so many things here at Moms of Tweens and Teens to support you and your needs and be able to reach more moms. So any donation, it can be $1, $3, $5. I would so appreciate it, and it would mean the world to me. So have a wonderful week, and I will see you back here next week.